It's my Super Bowl. My hero won the Super Bowl, and my favorite movie of the year won the movie Super Bowl. Let's get into it.
Hello, Adam Ryan Donato.
Hello, my name is Adam. I'm here to talk about the Oscars, which is one of my favorite nights of the year. Usually I host a little show. You guys can see past videos of me making an ass of myself, getting drunk and singing and making bad jokes. This year I decided not to do that, to just watch the show and enjoy it. Here's how my night went. It started off great with Everything All at Once winning both supporting actor and actress categories and Guillermo del Toro winning best animated feature. I wish it would have gone to Puss in Boots. I like that one more. I also like Turning Red more, but I'm happy it wasn't Marcel the Shell. Pinocchio makes sense. You got that Hollywood cachet with Guillermo del Toro. Also, the stop motion animation was beautiful. No big beef there. It just wasn't my personal favorite, even though it is great. 5 out of 5 movie. Short Round winning best supporting actor. That's expected. He did a fantastic job. In another life, I would love to do laundry and taxes with you. Jamie Lee Curtis winning is kind of funny because you could argue she's not even the best supporting actress in her own movie. I would have preferred Carrie Condon from The Banshees of Inisherin. I just thought she was hilarious and also had a lot of dramatic weight in that role, whereas Jamie Lee Curtis is kind of just a little bit joke villain, side villain type character, and I'm happy she won. She gave a great speech, and that's why she won, so she can go up there and give that great speech. And I get it. She's Hollywood royalty, and she's getting older. Not really going to have many opportunities to nominate her, so go ahead and give her this award, because no one really knows who Stephanie Hsu is. Moving on to another big topic of the Oscars is All Quiet on the Western Front winning quite a bit of Oscars tonight. This is a Netflix film, a remake of previous Best Picture winner. I'm not happy that it won a bunch. Don't get me wrong. I'm happy that it won a bunch of the technical categories over Top Gun. I mean, Avatar could have gotten more in the technical realm, especially when it comes to like sound. I was like, well, think about it. If all of that is CGI, they have to make all these sounds, and think about how many sounds that don't exist they have to make, and that's crazy. Top Gun winning anything is embarrassing, and if you love that movie, good for you. I lose by not getting to enjoy that movie. It is in no benefit to me whatsoever that I do not enjoy Top Gun Maverick, but I think it's lame, and I don't like it because I'm not a father and didn't serve in the military. I also have higher standards than just a standard legacy sequel, but enjoy your very straight, very vanilla movie, guys. All Quiet on the Western Front is a movie that I really enjoyed. I don't think I gave it 5 because I was like, I would never watch this again because it's just another war movie. It has nothing new to say about the subject whatsoever. It's great, and the performance from the lead role is fantastic. It is really well done on a technical level. I do like the cinematography in it, but production design, what the fuck are we talking about? Speaking of production design as well as score, Babylon getting shut out tonight is just embarrassing, especially Justin Hurwitz not winning Best Original Score. It's funny because before the night started, I was going to put some bets on the Oscars, and it's funny because you can't like bet on like EAO winning Best Picture because it's got like negative 1,400 odds, so even if you put down $100, you only get like $7. So you have to kind of find these value picks, and a lot of mine were like so wrong. Babylon winning score and Angela Bassett winning supporting actress. I threw some dollars on some long shots like Banshees winning Best Picture and Best Lead Actor. By the way, Banshees, shut out like a motherfucker, man. And I think that's a great movie. That was the one where I kind of thought that would sneak up and win Best Picture. And initially, earlier this year, I thought Top Gun would win because it's such a crowd pleaser and everyone and their dad loves it. I kept being told for an entire year that it was the greatest fucking movie ever, so I expected it to win Best Picture there for a minute until awards season started actually happening. And I thought it was Banshees because in my eyes, when I look at the race, I was like, okay, well, who's owed an Oscar? Because that's what it's all about. It's not about who's the best. It's about what Hollywood royalty member do we need to give it to? You know, Martin Scorsese doesn't win for Raging Bull, Taxi Driver, or Goodfellas. He wins for The Departed, which The Departed's great, but he's due. And I think who's due? And it's not the Daniels, because they're fresh on the scene, especially to the critic audiences, because they didn't love Swiss Army Man. Swiss Army Man was my favorite movie of 2016. That might be my personal favorite movie of the 2010s. Everything Ever All at Once was my most anticipated movie of the year. So having it win Best Picture and also being my favorite movie of the year is crazy because that's never happened to me before. Like, even if I look back at previous previous winners, because I started like really closely following movies and awards season back in like 2013. I think the closest I would get in that regard would be La La Land. It was my second favorite movie of 2016, behind Swiss Army Man. You'd have to go as far back as like 2006. The Departed is definitely my favorite movie of 2006. Well, other stuff like Casablanca, The Godfather movies, Annie Hall. I thought that the Academy would be like, oh, great movie. And it was a very popular, fun popcorn flick for people, kind of in the same realm as like an Avatar or a Top Gun, but for real critical weight, we're gonna go with something like The Banshees of Inisherin, because Martin McDonagh, who should have won back in 2017 for Three Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri, it lost to The Shape of Water, which great movie. Three Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri was right after the Me Too movement. Three Billboards is about a woman who's calling attention to the injustice from the system and not protecting women. So I really thought it was applicable themes for the time, very relevant. So the fact that it didn't win was kind of shocking to me, especially when Frances McDormand and Sam Rockwell both won as well. So I'm like, okay, so he's owed one. The Daniels aren't owed one. Spielberg's won a million times. You know, it's not going to Avatar or Top Gun. It's not going to Women Talking. It's not going to Triangle of Sadness. But throughout the night, I kind of thought it might go to All Quiet on the Western Front. But every year we have a Gravity or a Mad Max or a Dunkirk that, you know, goes and sweeps the technical awards. And I guess that was it, which, you know, great, good for remakes. Good for Netflix, I guess. I'm not crazy about All Quiet on the Western Front. Like I said, I'll never see it again. But there's a lot of artistry there, especially in the technical categories, so I'm happy for it. Other smaller awards that I was passionate about was editing, going to Everything Everywhere All at Once, because that movie is in the edit, honestly. Usually my favorite movie of the year wins a screenplay award, whether that be original screenplay or adapted screenplay. Last year, my favorite movie was Wolf, and that was a different kind of scenario. But before that, Promising Young Woman won original screenplay, and then the year before that was Jojo Rabbit, which won adapted screenplay. So I'm kind of used to my favorite movie winning a screenplay award, which, as someone who is a writer myself, I really do appreciate a good screenplay. So I was happy about that. I was also happy about Women Talking winning Best Adapted Screenplay, because I really loved that movie, and it's actually sat with me for quite a long time, and that movie is just people talking, so yeah, good. I thought for the longest time that Spielberg would win for The Fabelmans, because it's Spielberg, and he's got the cachet, like I'm saying. People know him, people love him. It's a movie about his life, it's celebrating his career. You get a lot of his previous works showing in The Fabelmans, and it's a great movie. That one also got quite shut out, which is kind of crazy. Daniels winning Best Director, they're my favorite directors of the year, so I'm happy about that. Speaking of getting shut out, two of my top four favorite movies of the year got completely shut out at the Oscars. Elvis did not win a single award, which is very, very sad to me, because I love Elvis so much. It's my second favorite movie of the year. Austin Butler should have won Best Actor over Brendan Fraser. Don't get me wrong, I love Brendan Fraser, and the story is really cute. He's this big blockbuster action star, and then he goes through a lot of personal hardships, and now he comes back and he does this really good, like, it's based off a play. The whole entire movie is just centered around his performance. When it won Best Makeup, I was like, oh, maybe the Academy's like, oh, the performance is all in the makeup, and then they were going to give acting the lead role performance to Austin Butler, but that didn't happen. And then I was kind of happy a minute later when Lydia Tarr did not win Best Lead Actress, because I was like, then they just got it wrong. They're just wrong. They're not actually wrong. I'm sure that that's what most people wanted, was Brendan Fraser and Michelle Yeoh, and they wanted those two people to go up there and make speeches. But if you ask me who the two best lead performances of the year are, it's Austin Butler in Elvis, and it's Cate Blanchett as Lydia Tarr in Tar. I don't even think they're just the best performance of this year. You take the last 3 years, and they're both the best. My argument for Michelle Yeoh not winning over Cate Blanchett was Everything Everywhere All at Once, while it did win 3 acting awards and got nominated for 4, I don't think its main strength is in its performances. Like I said, I think the highlights of that movie are the script, are the editing. So if you would have told me that it just came out with those two things. Also, I thought that the production design, I thought the costumes were really great, the makeup and hairstyling was fantastic, but it coming away as the big winner is quite the shock to me. So Michelle Yeoh winning, I don't feel like the role that she had was a very meaty acting role in comparison to Lydia Tarr in Tar. Whereas Tar is a 2.5-hour movie that is literally just her performance. It's my 4th favorite movie of the year. That is almost entirely on the weight of her performance. The cinematography is great. It's a fantastic film. It's very well written. It's very well directed. It's very well shot. But my number one takeaway from that is her performance, far and away. I dressed up like her for Halloween. Whereas Michelle Yeoh is a part of a whole, and a lot of it's just her going, as like things are changing behind her. I don't want to hate on my favorite movie of the year. Let's get into that. When Everything Everywhere All at Once won Best Picture, I sent to my friends, I said, my favorite movie of the year won Best Picture. What a nightmare. And here's what I mean by that is I swear to God, before Green Book won Best Picture, that was a liked movie. That was a movie that people generally thought was good. And now it's one of everyone's least favorite movies of all time. That and Bohemian Rhapsody are two movies that like people love to shit on and people love to discredit other people and like, oh, you like that? Oh, you suck. Now, at the end of the day, Bohemian Rhapsody, while I have a lot of flaws with it, it's not the movie I wanted. I wanted the Sacha Baron Cohen R-rated, hard R, David Fincher movie that I was promised. But no, I got a family-friendly Queen biopic. Rami Malek really had fake teeth, great job. He did good. Don't get me wrong. I think it's a good movie. I think I gave it 4 out of 5, and I think it's good. But once it won, that's when people started to hate it. And once Green Book won, that's when people started to hate it. I loved Coda, and then it won Best Picture, and I was like, the Disney Channel original movie won Best Picture. There's just a lot of pressure, a lot of attention that's brought to a movie when it wins Best Picture. More often than not, the movie faces backlash because of it. Either it's too boring for people to care, like Nomadland, or it's an absolute win, like Parasite. And it's seeming like in a lot of places, more often than not, it's more of the Parasite type of a win. But I see a lot of people on social media that are like, oh, Everything Everywhere All at Once won Best Picture. I'm gonna throw up. The Rick and Morty movie won. I understand. If you didn't love the movie, that's fine. It's my favorite movie of the year. It's my favorite movie in the last like 3 to 5 years. It's fantastic. No, and it is nice for me that it won because I took my family to go see Everything Everywhere All at Once back like almost a year ago at this point. It was my 3rd time seeing it in theaters. I absolutely loved it, obviously, but my family hated it, and they hated it so much. I remember when it said Act 3, my entire family started laughing as if they were all at once turning into the Joker. And then that entire night I got made fun of by them about how stupid I am and how stupid the movie was and how it made no sense and it was about nothing and it was hard to watch and it was sickening and maddening. And I'm like, yeah. Everyone ever give a bad review of a movie and you're like, yeah, it was awesome, right? People have different tastes and that's fine. My family's not dumb. They're just casual moviegoers and they like what casual moviegoers like Top Gun Maverick. And that's why I bought my parents tickets to go see Top Gun Maverick and they were like, that was a great movie. And that's great. It was really nice to clown my family about it. And it was nice to be vindicated because I made a most anticipated movies of the year list a little over a year ago. And my number one most anticipated movie of the year was Everything Everywhere All at Once. Why? Because it was directed by Daniels. Because I loved, with all of my heart, Swiss Army Man. And I was so excited to see what they were going to do next together. And it delivered in every regard. It's one of my favorite movies of all time at this point. I can't wait to go rewatch it in theaters again this week because it will be out because it won Best Picture. But I'm afraid because I don't want Everything Everywhere All at Once to get the backlash that a movie gets when it wins Best Picture and there's a strong following of people who don't think it should have won. Whereas like with Parasite, it was an abject win. And then anyone who was upset that it won was just racist because they didn't like international films winning or they didn't want to read subtitles or whatever. They were ignorant and stupid. And this, yes, there's some subtitles in there and yes, there is a predominantly Asian cast in this movie. I don't see it getting that exact amount of reinforcement from people. I actually see the opposite. I've seen plenty of people on Twitter tonight that are like, oh, of course, the evil white lady who is actively making life for this Asian family harder won instead of this young Asian actress. I'm really not excited about the backlash. Pretty standard Oscars, though. I hate Jimmy Kimmel with all my heart. I think he's terrible. He's one of the worst Oscar hosts. Him and Ellen DeGeneres are both absolutely terrible. They're both better than Amy Schumer, I'll give you that. Groaning almost every single time he made any kind of dad joke like he makes. And it's just so annoying when it's like we're cutting several people off with their speeches. Jimmy Kimmel goes out to the audience and does crowd work. And it's like, so why did we have time for this? We couldn't hear people give acceptance speeches for winning an award at an award show. Instead, I have to be subjected to Jimmy Kimmel's shitty stand-up. And I hate him. And I hate Disney so much after this award show. You're really going to show a trailer, debut a trailer for The Little Mermaid live-action remake in the middle of your show to the audience? It wasn't even just a premiere commercial that played. It was, they watched it too. It was on their big screen and it's just so pathetic. Just so absolutely pathetic. And I'm so happy that it's getting such awful backlash. Jimmy Kimmel's only the host because he does a show that's also on ABC and I get it. Like, whatever, fuck you. It was better than the 2021 Oscars. It was better than last year's Oscar. I don't even know. They made so many jokes about Will Smith. And the only one that landed for me is when he goes to the back at the end and he was like, one Oscar show without an incident. That was kind of funny because at least his mouth is fucking shut. I'm happy not to. That performance was fantastic and I'm so happy that it won. Lady Gaga had a fantastic performance as well. I love David Byrne and I love the song This Is a Life from Everything Everywhere All at Once, but that was a pathetic performance, despite the hot dog fingers and whatnot. Rihanna, Lift Me Up, that's my personal vote. That's what I voted for because I love that song so much. It's so beautiful and she's so beautiful. Anyone who says she's not so beautiful is an idiot. Just want to throw that out there that everyone's going to hate Everything Everywhere All at Once now because it won Best Picture. I know I said it's my favorite movie of the year and it's my favorite movie of the last 5 years. I recently watched Annie Hall again, and I recently watched Casablanca in a theater again, and those are two of my favorite movies of all time, and those both won Best Picture. I would still take Casablanca, Annie Hall probably over Everything Everywhere All at Once, just because they've had so much more time to marinate in my soul. I've seen them more times, but Everything Everywhere All at Once is definitely in that conversation. But that's awesome. That's crazy. That's awesome. I'm happy that I have impeccable taste, clearly. R.I.P. to Tar, Banshees, and my beloved Elvis, as well as the Fablemans, I guess. What are your guys' Oscar hot takes? Thank you guys so much for listening to me complain about a stupid award show that is meaningless and dumb. Like, comment, subscribe, and here's to another great year of movies.